So, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Let me just quickly get here so we get the right windows. All right, so last week we did a recap. ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਚੱਲੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ 4 ਪੌੜੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੀਕੈਪ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਸਮਰਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਆਸਾ ਕੀ ਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲੀਆਂ 4 ਪੌੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਸੋ ਦ ਫਰਸਟ 4 ਪੌੜੀਆਂ essentially they set up the game, like how is it ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚਿੱਤ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਭੁਲੇਖੇ 'ਚ ਆਉਂਦਾ। how do we get off on the wrong path and we start living according to a misapprehension। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਆਚੇ ਫਿਰੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਪੌੜੀ ਤੋਂ ਚੌਥੀ ਪੌੜੀ ਤੱਕ ਉਹਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜਾ ਟਰਨ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨਵੀਂ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ obviously all of it we've discussed this, it starts with desire। ਆਪੀ ਨੇ ਆਪ ਸਾਜਿਓ, ਆਪੀ ਨੇ ਰਚਿਓ ਨਾਓ, ਦੁਈ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਸਾਜਿਆ ਕਰੀ ਆਸਣ ਡਿਠੋ ਚਾਓ। So all that is here because of the desire of the one। ਸਭ ਕੁਛ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਸ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਆ, ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਰਜ਼ਾ, ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਆਸ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੈ ਸਭ ਕੁਛ। So we are a reflection of that। ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਪਰਛਾਵਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਹੋਂਦ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹਰੇਕ 'ਚੋਂ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਉਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਓਂਕਾਰ ਰਾਈਟ, ਇਸ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਮੈਨੀਫੈਸਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਆਕਾਰ ਫਾਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਨਿਰਗੁਣ ਤੋਂ ਸਰਗੁਣ ਸਰੂਪ ਰਾਈਟ, ਟੂ ਫਰੋਮ there is no attribute to all attributes and once we take form। ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ 'ਚ ਹੁਣ ਫਾਰਮ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਟਰਗਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਪਰਪਸ ਨਹੀਂ। ਪਰਪਸ ਕੀ ਆ ਜੀਣ ਦਾ? what is our purpose? ਧਰਮ ਕੀ ਹੈ? so that's what we struggle with and why is that relevant in our life is because ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਜੋੜਦੇ ਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ। we have identified with the body and now this embodiment, the embodied weight of the body and of what we see to be true, ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੱਚ ਮੰਨ ਲਈ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਭਾਰ ਥੱਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੀ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੇ ਚੌਥੀ ਪੌੜੀ, the fourth one, starts showing us a way for us to get the truth। ਸੱਚ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੀ ਪਛਾਣ ਹੋਏ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਤੱਖ ਦੇਖ ਸਕੀਏ ਤੇ ਜੀ ਸਕੀਏ। ਇਹ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮੋੜਦੀ ਹੈ ਚੌਥੀ ਪੌੜੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੰਜਵੇਂ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ as we move down that path, what things come up and that's what it's about in the fifth one। so fifth ਪੌੜੀ is ਨਾਉ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਿਰੰਕਾਰ ਹੈ, ਨਾਏ ਲਿਆ ਨਰਕ ਨਾ ਜਾਈਆ, ਜੀਓ ਪਿੰਡ ਸਭ ਤਿਸ ਦਾ ਦੇ ਖਾਜਾ ਆ ਕੇ ਗਵਾਈਐ, ਜੇ ਲੋੜਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਰੀ ਪੁੰਨੋ ਨੀਤ ਸਦਾਈਐ, ਜੇ ਜਰਵਾਣਾ ਪਰ ਹਰੈ ਜਰ ਵੇਸ ਕਰੇਂਦੀ ਆਈਐ, ਕੋ ਰਹਿ ਨਾ ਭਰੀਆ ਪਾਈਐ। ਸੋ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਦ ਫਿਫਥ ਪੌੜੀ ਐਂਡ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੱਤ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਛੋਟੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਸੈਂਟੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਮਾਈਆਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, all the things that we think we are working on and we are earning, they cannot complete us। ਸਾਡੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੀ, ਸਮਝਣ ਦੀ, ਬੁੱਝਣ ਦੀ, ਕਮਾਉਣ ਦੀ, ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਬਾਹਰ ਦੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਕਰੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਰ ਉਸ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ। we can never be complete by accumulating things in the world because we are not attached to what is real। we are attached to all the things that are temporary, they are ephemeral and those things break down। ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਚਲਾਏ ਮਾਨ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਸਨੇ ਤੁਰ ਜਾਣਾ। ਕੋਈ ਸਾਡਾ ਪਿਆਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਚਦਾ, ਵੱਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਦੇ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਚਿਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਰੀਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਾਸ਼ਵੰਤ ਹੈ, ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਨਾਸ਼ਵੰਤ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਭ ਮਾਇਆ ਹੈ। ਐਟ ਦੀ ਐਂਡ ਰਾਮ ਰਮਿਆ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇ ਰਾਮ ਹੀ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਰਾਈਟ। ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਸ ਰਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, We are that. We are a manifestation of that. And Gurbani makes it clear that that is what we're talking about, and that regardless of what it is that we claim, regardless of what we accumulate to ourselves and we attribute to ourselves, it might be letters at the end of our name, you know, we want to show that we are MD, PhD, LLB, this and that. That's not going to make any difference. That might work out here where people are lost because we're measuring against each other. But where it matters, which is the truth, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੱਚ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵਾਕਫੀਅਤ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਿਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਹੋਊਗੀ? ਡਿਗਰੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ, ਪੈਸਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ, ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ, ਉੱਥੇ ਪਰਖ ਸੱਚ ਦੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ. And that's what this one is about. Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening to you. I think you gave kind of like a synopsis of the fifth Paurhi.
And the first four. Yeah.
Like it's like a because I'm reading this fifth Paurhi and I'm going, I don't see what you're talking about, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to understand.
It's okay. We went over that last time, and this is essentially the larger summary of the fifth, which is now tera nirankar hai. Now is the naam. The one is formless potential. ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਨਿਰਅੰਕਾਰ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਆਕਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਨਿਰਗੁਣ ਸਰੂਪ. We're not talking about an intellectual idea. Who we are is a part of that. ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਨਿਰੰਕਾਰ ਸਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹੀ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ. ਸੋ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੌਣ ਹੋ, ਮੈਂ ਕੌਣ ਹਾਂ? Who am I and who are you? That's the question. And the problem is we have an answer that's always ready, that I am this and I am that. And that's what we talked about. We go to the body. Who am I? Am I the body which was born at a certain time and I'm this tall and I weigh this much? Like, what are we talking about? That's not me. Who am I? The depths of me come out when I'm in relation with someone and everyone and everything. That's where who I am, the crux of me, manifests itself, is with people. It's in relationship. ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਰਤਾਵੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਕੌਣ ਹਾਂ, ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਕੀ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ, ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹਾਂ. ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਗੌਰਵ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਤੇ ਆਵਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਦੇਤਾ ਸੀ. ਹੁਣ ਲੋਕੀ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕ ਪਚਾਰੇ ਲਈ, just to meet each other and talk, we have to have some sounds that I will make and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's me. So we don't get lost. Maybe we're afraid we're not going to get lost talking to each other. Who are we? But that's not who we are. ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ. So now ਤੇਰਾ ਨਿਰੰਕਾਰ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਲਏ ਹੈ, ਨਰਕ ਨਾ ਜਾਈਏ. So what is that naam that if I'm engaged in that, then I do not suffer pain of separation from the one? That's hell. Hell is not a place to go. Hell is not a place to go and burn. I am very well capable of suffering and burning right here, right now, if I am separated from the one. I am burning and I'm suffering. And in fact, all of my work is also to spread that misery. As they say, misery loves company. So that's what I'm engaged in. But the one is, this is reminding me, ਇਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਿਰੰਕਾਰ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਇਹ ਲਏ ਹੈ, ਨਰਕ ਨਾ ਜਾਈਏ. ਜੀਓ ਪਿੰਡ ਸਭ ਤਿਸ ਦਾ. The this is always a reference to the one, the larger one. ਦੇਖ ਅੱਜ ਹੈ, ਆਖ ਗਵਾਈ ਹੈ. So again, I earn, I do things, and I feel like I've got something. But ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਦੇਖ ਅੱਜ ਹੈ, everything that I have, I get from the one. ਜੋ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਉਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਤੋਂ ਆਇਆ. ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੁਝ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਹੁਣ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ ਜੋ ਹੈ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਵੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੱਢੀ ਹੈ. Like I've created something, but everything that I create is from what exists. I'm not coming up with anything. मैं कुछ नवी चीज़ नहीं ले आ रहा. ये मैं खाई जाना. जो कुछ है मैनू सब मुफ्त मिले. ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਖਾਈ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਪਰ ਆਖ ਕੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਗਵਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਊ ਡੂ ਆਈ ਲੂਜ਼ ਇਟ ਬਾਈ ਸਪੀਕਿੰਗ ਇਟਸ ਟੂ ਪ੍ਰਟੈਂਡ ਦੈਟ ਆਈ ਐਮ ਦ ਵਨ ਹੂ ਕੇਮ ਅਪ ਵਿਦ ਇਸ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਦੇਣਾ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਤਾਰ ਹਾਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੀਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਥਾਵਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਸੰਦ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਰ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਮੈਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕੀਤਾ I did this, I did that. I want to copyright. I want to have my stamp on everything. It's about me. And what it's saying is ki it will not complete me. All the stuff that I come up with in the world, in life, will not complete the whole that is in there. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਘਾਟ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਗਵੇ ਇਹ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਸਕੀ ਵਾਰ 'ਚ ਅਬ ਕਿਉਂ ਉਗਵੇ ਦਾਲ the seed that is broken, the seed that is split will not grow. The only way it can grow is if it's whole. Right? That will show up later, but the point is that my quote unquote success ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਝ ਖੱਟ ਲਿਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਪੂਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਤੇ the other thing is that the time will wear down the haughtiest among us because my gains, my claims will last for a while and then they break down. Time wears us down. Everyone. No one can have a claim for perfection. And anyone who pretends otherwise is a liar. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ ਅਧੂਰੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਪਰ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ ਬੜੇ ਉੱਚੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹ ਪੂਰੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਨਕ ਵਰਗੇ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਸੀਗਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਆਮ ਗਾਜਰ ਮੂਲੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ ਸੋ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਗਾਜਰ ਮੂਲੀ ਹਾਂ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਦੂਜਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਤੀਜਾ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਆ ਗਿਆ if Nanak was perfect how did we get 10 Nanaks ਜੋਤ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਜੋਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਯੈਸ these ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਇਹ ਕਹਾਣੀਆਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਦੇ ਲੈਵਲ 'ਤੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਰਾਈਟ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਦੇ ਥਰੂ ਸਾਡੀ ਗਰੋਥ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ ਰਾਈਟ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਿਆ ਉਹ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੇ ਪੈਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ and that's really what we're talking about is ਇਹ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਆਇਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ source ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨਾ we need to connect with the source not with the individual and the individual Nanak never claims we attribute things to the Nanak right and that's what people do with a lot of prophets and the ones that we love and we respect we attribute a lot of things to them we'll say they were perfect they tell you they were not perfect we attribute things because we want to have a ready excuse ਸਾਡੇ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਐਕਸਕਿਊਜ਼ ਤਿਆਰ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਉੱਚਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਸੀਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਰਫੈਕਟ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਹਾਂ this keeps a distance between us and the ones that we look up to and the ones that we love is because we are projecting perfection on them which is not real and they never said it was they can be in that space we too can be in that space ਇੱਕ थाल विच तेरी वस्तु पइयो सत्य संतोख विचारो अमृत नाम ठाकुर का पयो जिसका सबस आधारो जे को खावै जे को पुंचै तिसका होय उधारो so if you don't eat if you don't digest it's not a part of me my body will reject it right and we expel enough throughout the day a lot of times when we think like we come here and we got something but we didn't get anything we're just going to reject it as soon as we leave it's going to go out and this vichar is to be within ਜੇ ਕੋ ਖਾਵੈ ਜੇ ਕੋ ਪੁੰਚੈ, these ideas that we are discussing, ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੂ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਵਿਚਾਰਨਾ, ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਵਸਾਣਾ।
ਪਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਵਾਰਥ ਲਈ ਹਰ ਬੰਦਾ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਝੂਠ ਬੋਲੇਗਾ, ਆਪਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ,
ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਜੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਗਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਆ।
ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਮਨਵਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ। ਹਰੇਕ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੀਣਾ ਹੈ, ਮਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜੀ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਵੀ ਹੈ। ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਨ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਮਨ ਮੰਨ ਗਿਆ, ਪਰ ਸਰੀਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਿਜੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। We talked about this in the past, that there is a level of intellectual understanding and clarifications and distinctions that we can get, we think we get, but the body shows us different. The body is remembering pain and remembering things that have happened, and it is not able to get past that. Why is that? Because there's two different things going on. There's an intellectual level of understanding, and then there's what feels real. It is, I'm not saying it's real, it feels real, and that memory is there, and the body remembers. And when we have massive headaches, we're trying to engage in something, but the body is revolting. Something's fighting back. I don't even know what's fighting back, because intellectually I feel like I'm here for something, but it's fighting back. Something's going on, and I am not addressing those things. ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਲੋੜਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡਿਸਈਜ਼ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, the disease ਸਰੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, the pain, the ਦੁੱਖ, ਸਾਰੇ ਦੁੱਖ, all ਦੁੱਖ, I will not translate that or interpret that. The sufferings, essentially, where are they coming from? They're all from separation from the one. That's Gurbani's tat. That's the dukh. And also sukh. There is only one sukh. Gurbani vich. Baki sukh jede ne, jede bahuvachan ne, the ones, the plural, they are all from the seed of the one. Either I am whole or I am broken. I'm broken from the one. Everything else comes from that. That's like a very fundamental thing. So in a way, if I'm suffering and my body is telling me something else, then I need to remind myself, like there's something going on, and I need to look within and address whatever it is. It doesn't mean that I need to placate the body. I need to address it and see it for what's going on and be real. Similarly with the man. ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪੁੱਛੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਦੇ ਮੰਨ ਜਾਏਗਾ, ਪਰ ਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਦਾ, ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਕੀ ਹੋਏਗਾ? ਸੱਚ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਏਗੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਢੰਗ ਨਾਲ। ਪਰ ਮਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮਨ ਬਣਾਈ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਬੁਣੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜਾਲ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹਨੇ, ਉਹ ਚੁੱਪ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਠਹਿਰਾਓ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਸ਼ਾਂਤ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ ਆਂਤ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਰਾਈਟ। We're talking about being quiet, having silence, not as a possession, but as a place to be, to being in that space of silence. And how is that possible? That's by being present. So the key insight here is anything that is built on claims or accumulation is going to remain incomplete. That's the fifth body. And I think last time Sister had asked about how we got to that. So it's about what the words mean. Nirankar is without akar, which is formless, and that's about potential. कि ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਂਦ ਆਕਾਰ ਨਾ ਹੋਏ, ਉਹ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਉਹ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੁਝ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਦਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਹੋਣਾ ਔਖਾ ਹੈ। So that's what the Nirankar is. Because it is formless, it is not a thing, it includes everything. And that's the potential that exists within all of us. And Jio Pind Sab Tisda is that is the one that is expressed. Jio Pind Sab Tisda. Sab kuch usda hi hai. Sab kuch tu hai mere pyare. Right? And we already talked about dekh aaj aakh gavahi hai. Kari punno, yeah.
Remind me, what is Nirankar?
Nirankar is
Kar,
nir and akar.
akar.
Akar is form and nir is no form.
Is what?
Formless.
Right.
It's a negation of form.
So I don't know why they call it the fearless one.
I'm not sure why they say whatever they say. I don't know.
No,
But yeah,
it's-
yeah.
It's important for me. Like, okay, sorry.
Akar is form.
Is form. So then it's formless.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. But
Where it refers to the one as being fearless.
in one of the interpretations that she's reading, that's what it references. However, this word does not mean that. So it's sort of like people make stuff up when they.
I always thought it took that as being like you can't be, like the one.
Oh, yeah, that's different. That's nirpaho. Yes, that's about compulsion. Each of us, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਔ ਥੱਲੇ ਆ, ਕਿਸੇ discipline ਥੱਲੇ ਆ, ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਦਬਕੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਆ. We are under pressure and we act out of that. The one has nothing because there is nothing to be against. That's like it's actually not a big philosophical thing, it's fact. And we talked about this right before. If there is only one, then there's nothing to oppress or be oppressed by. But we live our life in duality. So we always have reason. We feel attacked. But that's because I don't see that it is one. And also that one doesn't see that there is one who is attacking. Yeah.
So coming back to the very basic question, in the first line, now मेरा निरंकार है, नाय लगे, नर्क ना चाहिए. So नाय ऐसे कह रहे हैं ना, अगर ना लोगे, नहीं लगता, then you will go to hell, which is separate that you explain your view. So when we say take now, remember now, so is it just practically in our life, how can we take now? Like if we don't take it, we will go to hell, we will stay separated from Lord and from one. That will be the consequence. But how do we implement that in our day-to-day life? Like when we come to Gurdwara, we are listening to Kirtan, we are listening to Hukam Nama, we are doing these, we are listening, and for me this is taking now. One example of taking now, not the entire scope, but what else? Like what does it cover, taking now?
Okay. I'll repeat the question just in case people are not able to hear on the video. So the question is about what is a practical way to naam laye, because of which nark na jaye, right? So if you think about this, nae laye, you're thinking about as some sort of an activity, right? Maybe don't look at it as an activity. Sa laiye. Lo?
And continuously taking.
Yeah, you can't live without it, right? So she asked about nae laye. Naam is nae, and laye. Laye can be an active task of taking. So what I'm saying is there are many dimensions to taking. So sa laye is to take a breath. You can't live without the breath. The naam laye is also a way to live. Because if I don't, then guess where I'll be? In hell. The hell in people's mythology is made up as something that will happen after I'm dead. Judgment and all of that, right? But the judgment is happening all the time. Because I am judging myself internally all the time. Because I'm living by some standard. Right? There's judgment occurring. So, nae laye, it is also that what is it that keeps me going? I am either attached and in that seed that is split, that is a broken identity within which I am attributing to myself all the things, all the attributes and all the accolades and all the gains and all the things that I've accumulated. Now I think that's who I am. And when I think that's who I am, what is my naam? It's those attributes that I'm saying are mine. That's what I've earned. That's my naam. But that's not naam. The naam that Gurbani is talking about. Right? But that's what I think naam is. So that's also why all the religious people, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਹੁਤੇ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਕਾਰਜ, ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਕੰਮ, ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਪਖੰਡ, ਹੋਰ ਨਾਮ ਦਿਓ ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ, ਕਰਮਕਾਂਡ, ਦੂਜੇ ਦਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਰਮਕਾਂਡ, ਸਾਡਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ? If other people go to pilgrimages and they do all those things, people who don't get the truth will say they're misled. That's because they don't get it. But then so-called Sikhs will go on what essentially is a pilgrimage, and they will do all those things. A little different flavor. A different flavor, but essentially engaged in the same type of a behavior. It might have disconnected.
So, just want to check. Is taking.
Naam laya. Our normal conception is of taking, but I'm saying that's not necessarily what it is.
So what does the word laying mean?
Just like gaya or sunaya. I won't. This is the big one for another day, maybe. Yeah.
Understanding of naam repeating, just meditating,
Yeah.
which is not naam. I can take anything and keep repeating it. It won't matter anything.
But how can it? That
Yeah, and that is where we have to understand the nark, what he explained, is what naam refers to you in that situation, because you're disconnected.
So you're saying taking is like we're
no.
If you say, if I'm taking your name, what am I doing? I'm just repeating your name.
That's not naam.
That's not naam.
That's not naam.
That's not a naam.
The whole point is what is naam? If you were to think about it, naam is the way of being, which is nirpaho, nirvair, it's akal murat, it's ajuni, it's sapan. Those are the fundamental attributes of the way to be. Be what? Be whole. That's naam. Naam is the attribute of wholeness, of completion. So that's the space within which I live. Naam laya is the space ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰੀ ਹੋਂਦ ਉਸ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਹੋਂਦ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਫਲੈਕਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦੇਵੇ. It's my being. Hond is being. That starts to get indistinguished from the one and the one's attributes and the one's qualities. Or you could say the qualities of oneness. That's where it becomes nai laya. And once I'm in that space and I'm living, it's like my sa laya. That's life. And anything other than that is death. ਇੱਕ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਹੋਣਾ, ਇੱਕ ਤੋਂ ਟੁੱਟਾ. ਕੌਣ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ? ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ, ਇਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. This is the whole problem is because of what people think and what people say. We have unfortunately started accepting what we've heard, which is why it's not healthy to listen to each other. This is like a bunch of blind people telling each other what the way is, right? It won't work. If I need to get somewhere, I need to know somebody who actually knows how to get there. And Gurbani is the way to get there. And that's how Nark Na Jaiye is Nai Laye. And that's the only way to live. मैं सारा दिन रात शब्द पढ़ी जावां, गाई जावां. ਉਹ ਪੜ੍ਹਨਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. ਆਵਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਕੱਢਣੀਆਂ ਗਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਚੱਲੇਗਾ ਬਗੈਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੁਝ ਕੀਤੇ ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ ਹੈ. When you are actually singing, you don't even think about it. You're in the tune and it just comes out. That's gana. That's when it's gone within and there is something that is happening. Because that's life. ਉਹ ਜੀਵਨ ਆ ਆਖਾਂ ਜੀਵਾਂ ਵਿਸਰੈ ਮਰ ਜਾਉਂ ਆਖਣ ਔਖਾ ਸਾਚਾ ਨਾਮ ਪਰ ਸੱਚੇ ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਲੱਗੈ ਭੂਖ ਉਤ ਭੁੱਖੈ ਖਾਏ ਚਲੀਐ ਦੁੱਖ that's ਨਾਮ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਾਏ ਲਈਐ ਨਰਕ ਨਾ ਜਾਈਏ ਆਖਾਂ ਜੀਵਾਂ ਵਿਸਰੈ ਮਰ ਜਾਉਂ ਤੇ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਾ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਜੀਵਨ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਮਰੂੰਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਰੋਜ਼ ਮਰਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੁੜਿਆ ਨਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਮਰ ਰਿਹਾ I am dying when I'm not connected with the oneness. I am not seeing what's evident. I am living untruth. I'm dead. Just because the zombie that you see walking around and we recognize each other, we think we're all alive because we're all zombies. But the point is that when someone's alive, don't you get inspired? When you see someone who's living, full of love, you are inspired. I'm inspired. Why? Because that's life. You see life, you recognize life. But we don't know how to get it in here because we don't have the distinction that we're actually broken. This is not about belief. You can believe anything you want, it means nothing. It doesn't matter what clothes you wear, what you have on your head, whether you have hair or not. Life is not limited to those things. Those are just expressions. So, karipunno neech sadaiye. This identity, everything that we do is about identity. That's not going to get it. That's not going to cut it. ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਨਾ karipunno ਕੀ ਹੈ the punna that we engage in life is we think we're doing good deeds. Those are brownie points. Like someone's taking account and I'll hopefully turn out on the side of the ledger that is good so I won't suffer pain. That's the childish interpretation. Kabir Sahib says apne karam ki gat main kya janu baba re. So when we think that somehow we know better, that today I did 5 good things, today I helped this person, all of that is out of fear. ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਲਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਟੀਚਰ ਨੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਨਾ ਪੁੱਛ ਲਏ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਹੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਬੇਵਕੂਫ ਨਾ ਹੋਵਾਂ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਕਹਿ ਤਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਬੈਠਿਆ ਉੱਤੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਡਰ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਧਿਆਤਮ ਦੇ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਲਿਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ we bring our fear that we live with daily about how I look to people, how people see me, how I see myself. I bring all of that fear and insecurity into the domain of life. Which has something in it of substance, and that's where I find suffering. So it's not going to help me. I can't fool such. I cannot fool the one because it's all around me. It's within me. It is me. I can't fool it. So neech sadaiye. I gotta get it. Sadaye jana. It is to be recognized. I want to be recognized outside, but actually I need to recognize inward. Je jarwana par hai. I might resist the ravages of time. Jarwana. Jar is budhapa. Entropy. Sab kuch. In time, everything breaks down. So je jarwana par hai. It will, and this gets everyone. Saaryan ne ਇਹਦੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਜਰ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਪਰ harana is to break down or to defeat, right? Everyone gets defeated by time. No one can survive that. Jarves karendi ai hai. So what is this karendi ai hai? It is that no matter what I think of myself, all my accomplishments, all my list of things that I think that I am, like that's who I am because I've got a long list of successes, it's not going to help me. Just like मात पिता बनता सुत बंदप इष्ट मीत अर भाई पूर्व जन्म के मिले संजोगी अंतः when it matters, when it counts, ko na sahai. No one comes to the rescue, no one can help. Why? In this world, people who come from families that are very wealthy, they feel pretty set. You know what? Actually, it doesn't turn out very well for them. People who come from a lot of money, it doesn't turn out very well for them because they didn't have to work or earn things. Unless the family got that message and they made sure that each generation works. Because if apni kamai na hoye na, I got nothing. I'm actually the poorest person in the world. ਕੰਗਾਲ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਜੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਕਾ ਪਕਾਇਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੋਏ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਵੈਲਿਊ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਇਸੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਲੋਕੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਇਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਮਤਲਬ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ ਇਹਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ ਛੋਟੇ 'ਚ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ ਕੁਝ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਨੀਚ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨੀਚਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਨੀਚ ਜਾਤ ਨੀਚੀ ਹੂੰ ਅਤੀ ਨੀਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਤਿਨ ਕਾ ਸੰਗ ਸਾਥ ਵੱਡਿਆਂ ਸੋ ਕਿਆ ਰੀਸ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਨੀਚ ਸੰਭਾਲੀਅਨ ਤਿੱਥੇ ਨਦਰ ਤੇਰੀ ਬਖਸ਼ੀਸ਼ ਨੀਚ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ I spent several days working on that and got a presentation ready and shared it with them. And I reached out and I said, ਕਿ ਦੇਖ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਓ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ 2 ਮਿੰਟ 'ਚ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ ਕੀ ਹੈ I thought the question was from a genuine spot of wanting to know. And they didn't even take the time to engage. And then the question is, and they want it to be humility. ਨੀਚਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਨੀਚ ਜਾਤ is commonly understood to be humility. ਕਿ ਹਲੇਮੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਜੀ ਨੀਚ ਹਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦੁਨਿਆਵੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਝੂਠ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ ਬੜਾ ਨਿਮਾਣਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦਾਸ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ it's all fakers. Gurbani, if we get what it's talking about in that context, is not talking about that. Actually, Gurbani tells us, Nicha andar neech jaat, niti hu neech. What is neech? Gurbani tells you. I'm not going to say it here. You should go look or watch the video. More than 2 minutes. But the point is, everything is on the line. I've got to put in everything in order to get something. I cannot take what you've earned. What you've earned, you got that. You can't loan it to me. You can give me an answer. The answer is a statement that I might use to fool other people. But I don't get the answer. Because I have to earn the answer. And earning the answer is nai laya. That also is nai laya. That's the space within which I live. So nai laya is not a very easy kind of a thing. Like all of what we've talked about, that's nayalaya. And then nark na jaiye. Otherwise, my destination is set. Right? The burning and pain and suffering and separation, it's a given. Because as soon as I open my eyes, guess what? Separation. All I see are different colors. This one looks this way, that one looks that way. I might like something, I might not like something. Judgments added to that. Everything is different. As soon as I see, as soon as I hear, the only way I can hear anything is because I hear different. That is not always a problem, by the way. Because some things can help me, some things can hurt me. I need to know the difference. And that's where the consciousness comes in. That's where the chetan comes in. Chetanta. Consciousness, discernment, vivek, buddha. Buddha is intellect. So all of these need to be honed. And that's life. Otherwise, we're animals, right? Really. We're all animals. Yeah.
You just said that some things can hurt you and some things not. So, isn't one of the aims or our aim is to be in a state of Chardi Kala where nothing will impact our mind, like our man. It should not get like ekdam dukhi ho jaye ya fir ekdam happy ho jaye. We have to live in that constant state. So some things hurt. If we get hurt, we will get dukhi again and upset, and then we'll say, why did this happen to me or something like that. And if it's a very good thing, then we will become very excited. But we have to avoid that thing, right? So why are we talking like this is very normal and this is okay?
What is very normal and what's okay?
Like getting hurt by some things and getting happy by some.
Oh, yeah. Again, because we're living a life which is in relation to things that are temporary. We're accumulating things and we're defining our success and failure based on those things. It's very easy to be in that up and down, right? However, I've also heard this many times. I'm not saying that it's the truth. I'm going to share a different perspective. This, if you were to see that and you're connected at a hospital, what does that tell you? Yeah, right? It's dead. I don't think that's what Chardi Kala is. Chardi Kala is not being dead to the world. Chardi Kala, by its very, and by the way, that's not a Gurbani, right? It's not from Gurbani. It's a way that we've derived something. Chardi Kala is Chardi. So फिर कित्थों चढ़दी?
Like whatever our state
Yes.
is right now, we have to grow from there.
We can rise. It's a direction, right? It's a vector. Now, what is my speed? What is my momentum? All of that. This is like physics, like almost we're getting into a lecture on physics. But that's kind of like, that matters. And where does that come from? Not from nothing, because it's the work that I do in life that prepares me, that when something happens, I find myself, there's choice in front of me. The opposite of Chardi Kala, which is something you'll hear a lot, is Tandi Kala. Tandi Kala is the direction that takes me down. Tandi, yeah. So it can take me down the slope, or I can ascend. And what is this I that'll ascend? It's my consciousness. It's my spirit. It's the feeling, the core of my feelings that'll be in the ascendant nature. That's Chardi Kala. That's not a word that's from Gurbani again, but the idea is definitely derived from that. Is that things that happen in life do not define me. Things don't restrict me because I have choice. I have agency all the time. If I have agency, then I'm not at the mercy of everything around me. I'm not at the mercy of circumstances. Things happen. There's t-shirts with that, right? It happens. And it will happen. So what? Now what? ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਜੋ ਹੋਣਾ ਸੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਐਂਡ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਬੜੀ ਕੀਮਤੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਭਾਣਾ ਵਰਤ ਗਿਆ Has everyone heard that? ਭਾਣਾ ਵਰਤ ਗਿਆ ਵਰਤ ਗਿਆ is something has occurred ਭਾਣਾ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਭਾਣਾ ਵਰਤ ਗਿਆ what's ਭਾਣਾ
जो परमात्मा ने करना हो चुका है ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਬਰਦਾਸ਼ਤ ਕਰੋ
Okay.
ਮਤਲਬ ਸਹਿਣ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਹੀ ਦਿੰਦਾ
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ it's will yeah but also I'll break up the word ਭਾਣਾ is ਭਾ ਜਾਣਾ okay ਭਾ ਜਾਣਾ what is ਭਾ yeah I've accepted it I am enjoying it I like it that's ਭਾਣਾ so ਭਾਣਾ ਵਰਤ ਗਿਆ so ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਪਾਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ the one up there we always go one up there but the one is here too right so really it's a question to ask it might not be a question that you might be comfortable with is when stuff happens ਕਿਹਦਾ ਪਾਣਾ ਸੀਗਾ I'm not saying that we need to have an answer right now but ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਪਾਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿਹਦਾ ਪਾਣਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕੀ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਕਿਨੇ ਮੰਨਣਾ Pana is not a very easy thing to get because we have a role. So what's our responsibility? ਸਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਬਣਦਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਾਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਆਸਾ ਕੀ ਵਾਰ ਆ ਇਹ ਆਸਾ ਕੀ ਵਾਰ ਆਸਾ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੀ ਆਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਆਸ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਆਸ ਮੇਰੀ
ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਮਨਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਪਾਣਾ ਮੰਗਾ ਕਰਨਾ
ਹੁਣ ਗੇਮ ਹੀ ਉਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੇਮ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿਹਦਾ ਚੱਲਣਾ ਹੈ ਮਨ ਤੂੰ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਆਪਣਾ ਮੂਲ ਪਛਾਣ recognize your source if I don't know where I come from Where am I heading? What am I connected with? We talked about this. You look at a tree, there's branches. When a branch breaks off the tree and it falls down, what do you call it? It's a stick. Is it a branch? How does it get to be a branch? Sorry?
It's a branch when it's attached.
When it's attached to its source, it's a branch. Otherwise, it's just a stick. Right? And here's another one which is very beautiful and it was very revelatory in my life, is a plant can be supple. It has movement, right? But then there are other plants which are rigid. What happens to things that are rigid? Easier than it would to something that is supple. They will break.
There's a famous, I'll send it on our group. Jean de La Fontaine was a famous French poet. And he wrote this beautiful poem about a reed and a tree, and the tree is full of ego. It sounds strong, you know, and everything, and the reed can bend, and then all of a sudden, of course, there's a storm. And the reed goes, well, I can bend.
Yeah.
Break.
Yes.
I'll send it. It's a beautiful.
It's a very beautiful way to get something about life.
Yeah.
Is if there is a pliant self that is able to move and bend but not break. It's important, bend but not break. And others that are very haughty, and as this one says, Je jarvana par hai, jarivesh karendi aiya, time will break down the haughty. Every one of us, no matter what I think of myself, does not matter what accomplishments I have in the background, that has nothing to do with right now. That works in the world. I've got my resume, I've got my accolades, I've got my large home, I've got a car. It's all the past. But life is in the now. That does not help me. Besides, that might get me a momentum. And that's where the Chardi Kala comes in. Momentum is a part of that. Like if I have no momentum in the past, how is it going to start right now? Right? It needs a little push. Now I'm on the way down. How is it going to go back up? There has to be momentum. There has to be nae laye, nark na jaiye. Does that make sense? Like the whole thing coming together. And ko raha na pariya paiya. And this is the summation of the fifth, which is that all the claims and accolades will not make me complete. I will not be complete. It's not about making me anything, because no one can make anyone anything, by the way. Either we are being or we're not being. No one can make us into anything. By the way, this is another distinction. Making. We think, the language that we use in life, what is it? In Punjabi, we'll say, Munda kudi doctor ban gaya. Ban gaya. It is to be made. No one is made anything. You can get a degree. You can have a piece of paper. You can have some letters behind your name. That is not who you are. That doesn't even make you a decent human being. Really. It's just name and words. Now, and I've asked this to people before, like who the heck, it was being provocative, like who the heck wants to be a doctor? You want to be a healer. A doctor ought to be a healer because literally they're spending their life practicing on the rest of us, right? And many of them are not good because they're practicing, but hopefully they'll learn at a certain point. But you went through school, you went through all of this in order to get to practice, to be able to practice, and you think you're made into a doctor. No, you got a license. But if you are a healer, then your life is about healing, and that isn't a thing that you wake up and at 8:30 in the morning you wear your little gown and now you're a doctor. You're a healer all the time because you care about people's health, right? Gurbani is speaking to our health, internal, external, all around, because life is one. Yes.
Can I share a story?
Sure.
So, you know, we go like, oh, here's your paper. This is like, you can do this now. Right? So, okay, it's a paper. It'll tell you you have the ability to do that. But like you're saying, it's not who you are. And it's a lesson I had to learn. Really, it was a great lesson. So. So in Los Angeles, I got to do a lot of interfaith work, and I was thrown into that world, even though I was really new and sicky, and I was like, why are they asking me, to represent the Sikh community? But I did it, and which is great because it forced me to learn a lot. But so in our community, or Sikh Dharma 3H or whatever community, we can become a minister, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm a minister, and some have even like your Sardani Saiba, or there's even a higher, like all this stuff like, oh, I'm this, But I was like, all these people were having their, they were Sardanis or Sardar, and I was there like representing the community, and I felt like, who am I? I'm not a minister. This is awful, and I felt really like not nothing, but I just felt bad because I didn't have that card that said, oh, you're a minister, And then, so one day I got the ministry, and I was like, oh, I'm a minister, I was like, yeah, great. This is who I am. And then one day, it's like, you have to pay every month, and then not every month, every year, and I couldn't pay. So then, oh, I'm not a minister anymore. And then it dawned on me, it was the best gift, like not to have my card, because I was like, I'm still who I am, I'm still doing this work. So it's like a great lesson to like not have this like thing that defines me, right? And to realize, no, this doesn't define me. So like you're saying, it's like whatever paper or whatever thing doesn't define who you are. And it was like I had like all this weight that was like lifted. I was like, oh, I can do this because I love doing it. It's not because I'm a minister, Anyway, just a story that was like a gift.
Yeah. It's
Realizing like sometimes you just get caught into these things that, this says who I am and this gives me like clout and I know. Anyway, it was a really interesting
Thanks for
story.
sharing. Yeah. And I think it's just a reminder that any type of attribution to self that we take on, don't be too serious about it, right? Because life is in the now. It's always now, What time is it? Time's always now. But we like to live in the past or project to the future. And what this does for us, and by the way, this is the first shlok of the fifth body. We do it a little differently, which you may have noticed. Everybody able to hear, because I know there's a bit of noise back there. Thank you. Go raha na pariya paiya is all the stuff that we are dealing with, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਭਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾ ਭਰੀਆ ਪਾਈਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਤੱਤ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪੂਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਭਰਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਪੂਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਭਰਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਨਾ ਭਰੀਆ ਪਾਈਆ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੋਏਗਾ. If I am going to be full of something, hopefully not full of the thing that happens, right? What am I full of? क्योंकि एक कह रही है कि ना भरिया पाई है, भरिया नहीं पाया गया. ਸੋ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੋਣਾ? ਹੋ ਭਰਿਆ ਭਾਈ ਕਿਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ? ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਨਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਨਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਉਸ ਦੀ ਹੋਂਦ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟਸ ਨੇ, ਇੱਕ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟਸ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਨਾ ਭਰਿਆ ਜਾਣਾ ਇਜ਼ ਟੂ ਨਾਟ ਬੀ ਫਾਊਂਡ full of oneness. It's ਅਧੂਰਾ, it's incomplete. ਨਾ ਕੋ ਰਹਿ, ਨਾ ਭਰੀਆ ਪਈ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੀ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਨਾ, ਰਹਿ ਗਏ। That means I can't, what am I going to accumulate? Because all my energies are out in the world trying to get things more and more, you know, having more than the neighbors. People are there to scare me. You got to have insurance. You got to save enough. Everything is about fear. All of life is about fear. And pura nahi hona. And guess what? Na pariya paiya. That means at the end of all of that accumulation, I'm always insecure. It's never enough.
And the more you acquire, then you fear losing it.
Yes. So you would think that people who have so much, why do they keep wanting more at the expense of someone? I don't even have a problem with somebody wanting more if they were actually helping alleviate pain, helping facilitate education, having health be present. Like, I did all this work. For what? I am nothing unless in relation with everything. And if that relation is not there, everything is about me, I'm actually alone. And I'm always at risk, and I'm insecure, which is the life that most of us live. Because that's what success has been told. It's like, I need to have it. That's success. And what is that? The pie is limited. I need to do it at the expense of someone. Right? And what we find is more people take more. Like, we have never lived in this country, the disparity between the haves and the have-nots has never been wider. It's wider than 1929. Way wider. And right now, more people are leveraged to the hilt. Leveraged to the hilt. In the stock market, people take margin loans in order to make bets. Essentially, it's gambling, right? More than before. More than the last major one, the great financial crisis, more than the one before. It's massive. Why? Because people are afraid. Young people can't afford homes. So what are they doing? They're trying to take risks. Because they know that's not even possible to have the kind of life that the parents had. So all of this insecurity, but all this is projected to the self in a world that is temporary and that is not real. The point is, this is about reality. When do I get to be with reality so that my life and my relationship with how I am living and who I am being, that's transformed? Because that will make a difference everywhere else. Like, I'm not a competition at work. Other people are trying to take credit for stuff. Doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's their insecurity. I'll still continue to engage in what I am engaged in because I care about that. Credit? Go ahead. Take it. There's always somebody to take it. But they can't have it because they didn't earn it. Right? They can get the credit from people who also don't know. And that's kind of how life works. So this cycle we're talking about is not mere repetition. So what does that mean? Is that this is a field of opportunity. There is potential danger, and there's also potential for massive gains. All of that is present as an opportunity. And whether it's nourishment, not just of the body, but also the internal, the spirit, habits, growth, what we are learning, all of that is available, and it need not be dismissed because we are here to live. Like, literally, I didn't choose this game, right? You didn't choose this game in that way. The one manifested each of us. And now we're here playing this game, the game of desire, the clash of desire, asahivad. We're in it. So it depends how I am oriented and where you are oriented. By the way, that's where Chardi Kala and that's where Tandi Kala comes from. It's the orientation that makes a difference. So what orientation? We're not talking about physical orientation. We're not talking about gender orientation. We're talking about the spirit, like where it's coming from and where is it headed. It's in Gurbani is distinguished as Gurmat or Manmat. The Manmat is the man that is lost, wayward, can't find its way, can't climb its way out of a paper bag, stuck in life and suffering. And the other option is Gurmat. And by the way, each reference that it makes to Gur, the Gur is the way, the Gur is the technique. The Gur is how I learn to be, how I learn to live. And practice, practice, practice. Life is about practice, not just for doctors. So,
Gurmukh,
Gurmukh,
Manmukh.
Manmukh, yes.
Sanmukh.
Yeah, that's also, if you were to think about this in you could do this mapping in multiple ways. It's about, start with one. There's either Sach or there's Kach. That's the antonym. It's Sach, which is what is, or it's Param, not getting it. That's the start of a break. Like how I go in this direction or that direction. That was just to show you like how asa comes in. But really it's about, there's a desire. Desire is fundamental, right? Because the one had a desire, the one has no form, it had desire, it manifested itself. That's the ik oankar, and that's the sat that is in process, right? How does it manifest itself? It manifests itself through being, through Nam, which is its fundamental core of the attributes of being one and whole and complete. Nirpao, Nirvair, Akal Murat, Juni. Sapang. Actually, that's, a lot of times we don't focus on that. It's Sapang. No one made it. It is self-illumined, self-manifest. So guess who that comes to? We're waiting that someone will come along, someone will give us the answer, someone will do this, someone will do that. But really, it has to come from within. It is manifested from within. No one's going to give it. Nanak couldn't give it to his own sons. One didn't care, the other opposed him. And if you think Nanak was the best, well, that game doesn't turn out too well. If the best of us had a son that opposed him, then what reason are we going to come up with? Because no one can give it. It's not an answer. It's not a cheat sheet. Like where the test of life, a cheat sheet comes out and I know the answer. But life is testing it all the time, and we're failing or we're succeeding at times. So if we are failing, the cheat sheet, man, that better be like in front of me all the time. And how does that, the cheat sheet, the test of life,
Cheat codes.
the cheat codes, you know, you keep a little thing to get you through tests. So you don't show up like you're the idiot in the class who didn't study, right? There's many ways to cheat, right? It's a good thing if you don't know. So when I am suffering, however, the cheat sheet is not going to help me. It's my earning. It's what I have gotten that gives me the experience of life and my success or failure within the journey. So coming back to the cycle.
But you said that,
Yeah.
like what is it?
Manmukh and Gurmukh. And Manmat and Gurmat.
Yeah, Manmat is when I think this is the best way. But Gurmat is when you follow Guru's speech. Is that not?
Yes, but let's work on that a little. Because what I think, what is this I that'll think? Right? If the I is not the identity that I'm carrying around in life, because I'm involved in one way or the other, right? Who's walking? Who's talking? I'm involved in some way, but it's not the identity. Because the identity, when it's this haughtiness of it's me, that Gurbani says is main. everyone, the best of us that have ever lived, are also out of haun. Right? Gurbani says, haun vich aaya, haun vich gaya, haun vich sachiar, koodeyaar. Obviously, all of us aspire not to be koodeyaar. All of us aspire to be sachiar. Jap Bani asks us, kiv sachiara hui hai, kiv koode tutta hai. So each of us wishes to be of truth, by truth, and for truth, living an authentic experience of life.
What is ha?
Haun.
Ha.
Haun is, okay, let me put it in a different way. There's haun man.
Yeah, ha mein.
Haun man is I am. That's an assertion.
Oh, ha mein means I am.
That's my interpretation.
Ego?
Yes.
Yeah, it's ego.
It's when it's calcified. When it's calcified, it's I am. You know what I am? I am not you. I am better than you. I am this and I will that. And everything I am engaged in life, I'm a human doer. I'm a human doing. I'm not a human being. Because I don't even know what it is to be human.
So just
Who I am is a collection of attributes that I wish for everyone to agree that that's who I am. And I better be better than all of you because I can't be less. That's an impetus. It's always in opposition.
But you're saying, I
Yeah.
like to learn words or understand words. So you're saying ha means is a word on its own.
Haan, yes. In Asa ki baar.
Yeah,
Haan
what
vich aaya, haan vich gaya, haan vich
What is
jamya, haan
that?
vich mua.
Ha.
It will actually come up in the next body.
Just need to
So-
write it. Like, what is.
So we'll get to it. How we'll get to it is through Gurbani. If everything is out of haun, the best of us and the worst of us, sachiar, kudeyar. And I'm not like distinguishing like there's a Hitler or there's a Benjamin Netanyahu, right? The worst of us. It's kudeyar. Everyone living out of kudeyar is living out of a world that is born from kach. It is born from fracture. It is born from duality. It is only going to bring pain. It will revel in pain because it thinks it can be better than others, because it thinks it is different than others. And we cannot be different than others anywhere in life, and we cannot be broken from anyone else in life except in the man. Because I live and I breathe. We are all breathing the same air. It's not my air. I cannot be separate from anything except up here. And that's where the trouble is. It's in the man. So this haun and haun man, it's a very important distinction right when you're leaving. And I'll tell them right after you're gone. No, it won't come up until the next party.
But this Gurmat, you say that's Guru's mat, right? Guru's
Yes, we were actually going to go down that. Yeah, so
cheat sheet also that. Then you say cheat sheet is not needed.
yeah, it's not a cheat.
Mat is also a cheat sheet, right? Or
Gurmat is it's a distinction that can only be real for me if it's mine. Like if I'm doing what someone asked me to do, then it's not mine. Then I'm kind of in a way playing worldly games. Like I'll do what my boss says. But if the boss is worth their water, you know what they want? Every job that I've ever had, any level of responsibility that I had, I wanted to be dispensable, not indispensable. I wanted the team to be ready to take over. To me, that's success. Because if they have to depend upon me, that's just job security, which is really insecurity. Right? So gur mat is when that mat is in here and then the I is gone. Then whose mat is that? It's just the way to live. It's the way to be. Not because someone told me, not because I was afraid, not because someone will think I'm better, but because that is the way to be.
But that's Guru's teaching. That's not your teaching. Your own things, right? It's so
Actually, what it is Gurmat also is, if I were to ask you, what is Gurmat? Whose mat is that?
Guru.
Who's Guru?
The 10 gurus who taught us.
Actually, that's where I was trying to get to. So, if it's 10 gurus mat, then who did it start with?
Well, it's the 10 gurus and other greats whose teachings are in the Guru Granth Sahib,
Yeah.
for example, right?
No, this is a very important distinction. That's the reason I'm asking you. So where did it start?
Well, the oldest Bani maybe is from Farid Ji, right? Who's before Guru
Yes.
Nanak Dev Ji and Kabir Ji.
Yes. Does that mean that that's the only time that there was Gur Mat in this world?
No.
No.
It was there before Sikhism. It was there when Hinduism
Yes.
was there, Buddhism.
It's there since time immemorial, because life is about being whole or being broken. Life literally starts by being broken. Broken, by being disconnected. When we come out of the mother's womb, by the way, within the womb, there is no need, taken care of. As soon as the umbilical cord is cut, now what? There's a literal disconnect. Pain, light, suffering, and now a complete dependency on others. So it was always there, that wisdom was always there, but it was formulated, and there is all the Bani that we have, that's the Gur Mat, that's the way to be. And it has been sanctified, it has been authoritatively stamped, like this is authentic. Stuff outside of this, could there be truth outside of this? Absolutely. I have found plenty. There is truth outside of this, but it's not stamped by the masters. So it could be, and it may not be.
Yeah, but what is in Guru Granth Sahib is not mastered by Muslims, for example, right? So,
But people who are from that tradition, the gyan that they were living is also in here, right? Sheikh Farid is in here, right? So that's there. So what I'm saying is, I don't consider, people believe what they believe. The stuff that you've heard here is probably different from other people who've given their kamai. So I can never judge what something is by what I hear from a lot of people. The only way I look at something is, what's the highest that came from there? That's the only thing that I will ever look at, nothing below that, right? So whether it's Islam or it's Christianity or anyone, there's incredible beauty and power. St. Augustine, right? And others. There's people who've gotten, there's Gnostic teachings, which are very much similar, right? So, but can I just simply open up a book on Gnostics and say, okay, that's Gurmat? It may be, and it may not be, because mostly what I'm reading are interpretations. What am I giving you is interpretation, coming through a filter of my experiences. So it may be truth, it may not be. And how will you know? By getting it, practicing it, and living it, and you'll know. That's the only way to know anything, right? And so that's kind of what we're talking about, is that no matter what I think I can add to myself, I cannot be complete by adding things from outside. They actually have to be from within. I need to recognize. That's what in Gurbani is called Simran. It is to remember.
For example, Christianity, Bible was not
yeah, it was.
same way Quran was given by Gabriel or Jibreel directly to Prophet Muhammad. So it was given chest to chest. Now I won't detail whether it's possible, that's the next thing. I don't even care. But the point is, the authority you stand is not just by the people who do, but also the people who do.
Yeah.
And we believe that gurus, because from the historical perspective of the narrative, is that they lived it. They lived it. And that's why that's the stand of authority. If that was a question.
And actually, that's a good point, because there's a lot of story associated with a lot of other religious traditions and documents. A lot of story, a lot of belief, right? There's a church, there's a controlling narrative. So a lot of what people think they know, it's because it's interpreted. Whose interpretation are we believing? Some group of politicians sat together and they said, okay, this is going to be the thing, and everything else is heresy. right? You go to churches, you go to the Greek Orthodox, different than others. So which version, we don't know. Thankfully, we have a text. Yes, changes, because there's a lot of mistakes within the printed version that we have. But there are handwritten ones available. But how will anyone know is only if you are familiar with and you have a familiarity with. Like we know people. How do we know people? We only know the people that we're actually spending time with and we are engaged with all the time. Then we can at least know something about them, right, how they were in the past. Not right now, but in the past. Familiarity, knowing the voice. Like if I don't know the voice of the Bani, can I distinguish which person said which just by reading a line? And if I can't, then I don't know. Then I just believe things. So if I have that kind of a relationship, then I'll know. And then that is a very powerful thing. Otherwise, it's just belief. And what do most people who are Christians read? Words that Jesus never said. Because he didn't even know the language. The language Jesus spoke, very few people in the world would know. Right?
No, he spoke English.
King James Version.
Well, how we say King James now.
Yeah, I think I was just trying to say that different religions have different stamps. So somebody might say stamp of the is not, we don't accept it, and somebody else might say we only accept this stamp.
Yes. And you know what the funny thing is? You're absolutely right. When someone says that we will not accept Guru Granth Sahib's stamp, there are people who will tell you what Guru Granth Sahib's stamp is. And I am saying, what gave them the authority to tell everybody else that that's the stamp? Do they get what it's saying? What is their message one that brings out the enormity of one? Or is it also just makeup, dressing themselves up and their own insecurities? So really, who will know? It's a mind that is discerning, that has done the work, will know the difference. And not to be better than them, but to know and be authentic. That's all this is about. The whole game is about me being authentic, and not the authentic of the self-help that is going around the world for the last 20 years, or even longer, but authenticity which is a lot larger, which has to do with the source, which has to do with life, and who I am, and who I can be, and who I am being. That's the truth, and that's what's authentic. We've kind of done a recap of last week because many of us weren't here and a lot of new folks. Hopefully we'll get to meet you in a couple of minutes. So I can stop right here. We can just open it up and just have a Q&A. Does that work? Yeah.
Before I leave, I just want to say it would be a fabulous project to create, I don't know what it's called, like, sometimes you have books and then there's like next to it, I think the Bible has that, it explains what is said. It would be fabulous to do a project where we have the city go to rooms and then there's like this little thing where you can go to here, this is what this passage is saying. I mean, it would be a big project. That would be like such a gift to people.
Yeah.
Even though, at least this is what was told to me. Okay, let's take a hookup. And they say, it's like, okay, the hookup is saying something, but the way I understand it will be different from what somebody else understands it. So there's a different interpretation depending on where you're coming from, what you learn, or whatever, your life. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, there is. Of course there is. The important aspect is to not impose my opinion upon Gurbani, but to understand Gurbani from the context that is painted within Gurbani.
Okay,
Otherwise, it's like my stuff interposed upon Gurbani and claiming that it's Gurbani or Gurmat.
but that's not what you're doing.
Every person who's authentic would be working to not have their self and their idea because it has to do with me in there. But is it something that is easily avoidable? No, it's very difficult. So the question is, how large is the thing that is coming out? If you can find that life which fits in there and that the model is coherent. Because if I were to ask that question, the biggest interpretations out there, right? What's the model? Can anyone tell me the model? What's Sahib Singh's model?
It's pretty much
Okay, yeah, and frankly, that's a lot of the work that came through him was word meanings, which are helpful, by the way, but the context is missing many times. But my thing was, like, what is the model? It's not clear what anybody's model is. I'm telling you what the model is. I'm saying everything starts with one. Everything ends with one. And the Mool is the central repository of all linguistic, spiritual, psychological theses that will come out of it. That's it. That's my model. If someone says that that isn't correct, I want them to disprove it. And then I would want to hear how will they disprove it, because they would have to choose something other than oneness. Good luck with that, because it starts with one.
Anyway, what do you
Right?
think of that idea?
The idea is fantastic. That's kind of what I've been working on, is a lot of all these videos. Everything that is in here is essentially going to get fed into my local model, which will hopefully then get tested a lot by me into a point where I feel comfortable that, okay, whatever it is able to generate from something that I didn't give it, it is able to choose a Gurbani Tuk and able to bring that message out, the enormity, the largeness, that my life can be found within that. Then when I feel it's ready, we're definitely going to put that out
Yeah,
there.
I just think, there's several city grounds out that you can find online.
Yeah, it's just interpretations.
But,
Lots of interpretations.
To have, a site with city grounds out where there's somewhere you can click and get information about what the Shabbat is saying would be amazing. That would be a gift.
What I am working on is not informational. I think informational would be like Sahib Singh. There's a lot of information. I am not interested in information. I'm interested in transformation, which requires. Why is the entire Bani in poetry? It's poetic verse, right? Why? That's a real question.
Well, it's how they sang it.
No, they could have written it. There's Vedas. There's all these different. There's massive number of books that have been written about the Gurbani. There's like 1,000, 10,000 times more volume of material that has been produced about it. All prose. Gurbani is poetic verse. Why?
Because it affects you when you listen to music. If Beyonce sings a song or Pavarotti sings a song, it hits you like the song. But the words don't hit you as well. I think that's why.
I think story doesn't. Story is for minds that are not yet very well developed, right? Unfortunately, many of us stay there much of our lives. So, poetry, there's nuance to poetry. And you can say things that are much deeper than the very word that is out there. You could say 4 words, and you could write a book on those 4 words, right? Somebody could write a book, I mean. Point is, poetry is rich, it is evocative, and it can take you beyond the intellect. But the intellect has to be used. So what we're saying is that people don't understand, they don't get what Gurbani is saying because they're missing the context. The context they're imposing upon it is their life, the world, the way that it is. And they think that somehow I'll make the world better. How will I get to be better? That's self-help. That's not Gurbani. Gurbani is going to revolutionize everything about my life. It's not just about me improving myself. Because improvement is always in relation to something else that was just a little worse. So now it's better. Gurbani doesn't want us to be better than anything. Gurbani is about purpose, fruition of life. And there is no cap to that, by the way. Nobody can tell me what my bounds are except what I've actually internalized and believed. And then those are my bounds. So what is possible? It's telling you, अपने आप साजियो अपने रचियो नाओ नाओ तेरा निरंकार है नाए ले है नरक ना जाइए. So it's formless, which means anything is possible. But it's only possible for those willing to live it and willing to put everything on the line. Everything at stake, all the time. Those kind of people are like an inspiration to living beings. And then we find ourselves being lifted, being able to know that there is more and that more is possible. But actually anything is possible. That's kind of what is coming down to, back to it. We haven't completed the fifth Paurhi, the second slok, but we'll come to it. This one talked about Kadiya Sabbe Gopiyan. We talked about that a little bit last time. And who are the Gopiyan, who is Christian, right? And those types of things. We'll come back to that next. Actually, I'm not here the next 3 weeks. So that's the other announcement. So I will see you guys in the 4th week from today. And sorry, generally I don't take breaks this long, but I'm away for work. After beating up on work, I'm away. Thank you. Okay, I'll stop here.
Are you on the group? Are you in the group?
Which group?
Okay, well,
I'll talk to you.